when you least expect it. Disaster can come from anywhere. Sometimes the things we need most, like food, water, and the sun's warmth, fail us. Although the dangers can be unexpected, new ways to survive can be found in unexpected places too. Long-lasting destruction. Floods continue to destroy even after the water clears. Water damage is extremely destructive. When a car or a home is flooded, almost everything the water touches must be removed and replaced. If water damage is not treated, mold can grow and make people sick. A flash flood in Israel. Floods. We use water for drinking, cleaning, and cooking. But when water becomes hard to control, it can control everything in its path. Floods occur when there is too much water for the ground to absorb. During a flood, rivers and creeks can overflow. Water can overtake cities and towns as it covers buildings or bridges. Flood water moves quickly and can wash away whatever or whoever is in it. Flash floods. Flash flooding occurs when heavy rain comes down quickly and then moves on. Because the rain pools so fast, small streams and creeks cannot contain all the water. They aren't as common as floods, but flash floods can be just as deadly if they catch people off guard. A deadly summer. In the winter of 1931, the worst flood in modern history poured through China. The snow that year was heavy. When it thawed in the spring, there was excess water in the major rivers. China's Yellow River, Yangtze River, and Hui River were full before the heavy rains began in summer. It rained over 2 feet in August alone. As a result, all 3 rivers rose. It started to flood. The flood covered a massive area. Diseases spread in the moist environment. More than 4 million people died from the flood. Today, doctors know how to prevent these types of diseases. Flood victims are moved to clean, dry areas quickly. Constant battle. When people create cities near powerful rivers, they often battle with flooding. Cities in Egypt must contend with the Nile River. In the United States, flooding occurs on the Mississippi River. In each place, people have developed ways to predict and survive flooding. The Yellow River gets its name from the fine yellow dirt in it. Rescuers bring food to people stuck in their houses after a flood. Cradle of China. The Yellow River isn't the largest river in China, but for the Chinese, it is the most important. The Chinese believe the spirit of their people and their culture flow from this river. Many important temples, empires, and people built their lives and customs at the base of the river. The Yellow River in China. Hurricane Katrina. Rivers aren't the only source of wet disasters. In 2005, a hurricane hit the southern coast of the United States. Hurricanes start over the ocean with strong winds and blinding rains. Then, storm surges hit the coast. These powerful waves of water are stirred up by the hurricane. When Hurricane Katrina flooded the South, the rain and winds caused major damage. Houses were torn from the ground and lakes overflowed with water. But the flooding that came from the storm surge did the most damage. It left many cities along the coast completely underwater. The damage from Katrina is thought to have cost over $80 billion. Frankenstorm. Days before Halloween in October 2012, Hurricane Sandy met up with another storm system before it made landfall in the New York and New Jersey areas. Meteorologists call it Superstorm Sandy and warned everyone in its path to evacuate and prepare for the worst. Because warnings allowed advance notice, schools, airports, and train stations were closed. People were able to move to safer areas where they could stock up on supplies and wait until their homes were safe to go back to. City workers often must view flooded areas from helicopters to learn the full extent of the damage. Which category? Meteorologists use standard categories to let scientists and government officials know how dangerous each hurricane is expected to be. This graph shows how damaging high waves, high winds, and low pressure conditions can be. 1. Minimal. 2. Moderate. 3. Extensive. 4. Extreme. 5. Catastrophic. Tsunami. Sometimes an earthquake or volcanic eruption is not the end of the story. Either one can trigger a tsunami. When the earth shakes, the ocean is affected as well. Huge tidal waves wash over the land. These waves can cause the same damage as a flood. Tsunamis are among the worst disasters. The land is already hurt from the volcano or earthquake, and then it is flooded by the waters of the tsunami. Tsunami or no tsunami? Tsunamis are hard to predict. Sometimes there is an earthquake out in the ocean, and huge tsunami waves hit the nearby coastal areas. But a similar earthquake might cause almost no change in the ocean waves. How a tsunami forms. 1. Volcanoes and earthquakes cause shifts in the ocean floor. 2. Large amounts of energy push the water up in waves. 3. The waves travel greater and greater distances as the energy builds. 4. The waves are slowed by the rising seabed. The wavelengths decrease while the height of the waves increases. 5. Enormous waves hit the shore. The consequences can be deadly. Japanese tsunami. March 11, 2011 marked one of the worst natural disasters for Japan. On that day, both an earthquake and a tsunami hit. It was the most powerful earthquake ever to hit Japan. It was a magnitude 9.0 quake. Within an hour, waves over 10 feet tall began to crash on the shores. For days, waves lashed against the coast. They destroyed buildings, bridges, and homes. The strongest waves were over 33 feet tall. Japan's tsunami warning system saved lives. Many people were able to escape to safety. Nuclear fallout. The Fukushima nuclear plant suffered a lot of damage because of the disasters. Harmful radiation leaked out into the air and water. People from the plant had to evacuate. They left their homes for safety reasons. Tsunami victims rescue items from their home. Tsunamis can carry large objects incredible distances. Long-lasting impacts. In the days after the disaster, it was a challenge to get help to people. Many people in Japan had no way to communicate with their loved ones. They could not find their belongings either. Water covered towns and coastal areas. Buildings were no longer standing. Many people were afraid to go back to their homes. They feared another earthquake. Dig deeper. The Ring of Fire. The Ring of Fire is a place on Earth's crust where many plates meet. Around 90% of all the earthquakes in the world happen there. It is home to 75% of the world's volcanoes. It is also where many of the most recent tsunamis have happened. Indonesia. Indonesia has more active volcanoes than any other country in the world. This is because the island sits on top of 4 different plates. In 2004, it was struck by one of the worst tsunamis in the world. North America. The Juan de Fuca Plate and Pacific Plate are crashing together. This motion built the Cascade Mountains, and it's the reason Mount St. Helens erupted in 1980. South America. The Nazca Plate and the South American Plate are colliding. This slow process made the Andes Mountains. It also created the volcanoes Cotopaxi and Azul.